Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today we're going to talk about the advantages that the alien presence has over the human race. And if you really think about it, the advantages that they have are very significant. We've been talking about this for the most part since 1947, although there have been encounters with these things before that, but it was really 1947 since when it all started. And you think about it, over the decades, it's become clear what these beings are capable of doing, and now we even have more information that shows us that they can make themselves invisible, as we've been talking about in recent shows. So they have advantages over the human race, and we don't even come close. I don't think. I think that's one of the reasons why, in addition to the reverse engineering aspects, why governments do not want to talk about this to the public, because there's nothing they can do about it. It's completely beyond their pay grade, and it's beyond their control, and they can't really talk about it because of reasons like that, and because of they're trying to reverse engineer these things in the background. I don't think they're going to get anywhere with it. You can really think when you really think about it, it'd almost be like making a paper airplane and throwing it out in your backyard, and if it lands on a anthill, I don't think you're going to be worried about those ants reverse engineering the paper airplane. It's just not going to happen. And even though we'll recover their craft when they crash sometimes, which I don't think is that often, but over the years it could be about 100 times. Let's just say 100 crashes over the years, over the decades, over the last 80 years. Say there's been about 100 UFO crashes. Have we come anywhere close to reverse engineering these things? I highly doubt it. I don't think that we're at a point where we would be capable of doing it. I don't think we're intelligent enough at this stage of the game to come close to trying to figure out how these things work or operate. We might have an idea of what it is that is making them fly. We might know about things like that, but recreating it ourselves, I don't know if we have the materials here on this planet to do so. I don't know if we have the knowledge to create the kind of metals that are used by these aliens to create these craft. We don't stand a chance with them. And anyway, I put a list together of the advantages that these aliens have over us, and I'm going to go through it. There's actually 6 different things, and I'll go through each of them here. They have technologically superior conveyances, as well as other contraptions, other technologically advanced objects and machines that they have that just we just don't have. Obviously, the conveyances we're talking about are the UAP, the unidentified anomalous phenomena, the things they fly around, and the things that are able to go in and out of water, fly up into space, travel at 17,000 miles per hour, and then stop on a dime and go in a different direction. We don't have the ability to do those kind of things. And even if we did have something that we could travel in that fast, how are we going to prevent the people inside it from getting killed when you stop on a dime and go in a different direction? Obviously, these creatures that are here, that are among us, that are up to something, have figured this out. We have not figured this out. And then there's other things that they're capable of doing. Like, for instance, so many different cases. I've been reading this book by Graham Rendell about the 1954 French UFO wave, and there's cases in there where people get stunned, paralyzed at where they stand, and they can't move because an alien pointed something at them and pressed the button, and next thing you know, the person can't move, or some a ray came out of a landed craft and froze them into place. So they have the ability to paralyze us. They have the ability to move through solid matter. That's something that's been reported by many different alien abductees over the decades. They have the ability to move through solid walls. When I first heard that, I thought it was absolutely absurd. But when you keep reading it and the stories from so many different alien abductees, it becomes, well, obviously it must be happening. A lot of these abductees didn't even know that other people were reporting this stuff when they were talking to the psychiatrist or the UFO investigator or the psychologist. They didn't even know about other cases like this. They thought it sounded crazy, but that's what they were telling the people who were interviewing them. So yeah, they're technologically superior to us in so many different ways. And number 2, one of the advantages they have is their stealth technology. They have the ability to make themselves and their craft invisible. As we know, there's just so many cases. Just recently, we talked about that Colorado case where 12 people, a dozen people, we don't know. We just have the one report from one of the witnesses. As far as we know, it's not a hoax. I mean, we don't have full details on this. We don't have any names. I don't see any interviews with any of these people. I haven't seen any pictures of this craft that was seen, but 12 people are stating that over the Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, there was a very large flying saucer, and when it noticed that these people were looking on it, it turned on its side and then started moving away, belly first, and then it just vanished. It just disappeared, like dematerialized. So they have the ability to do things like that. And I know how stealthy they are because I saw it in action myself. Back in 1994, I saw how stealthy these craft can be. When I was on that fishing trip in 1994, had I not turned around to get a cigarette out of the tackle box, I wouldn't even known that thing was creeping up on us. There was no sound at all. Looking back, I was actually thinking about it today before I did this podcast. So I have all different theories about that case, and now I just came up with a new theory. Had I not turned around and noticed that this thing was coming toward us, to me and my friend who were night fishing in this spot on this pond off this lake in the middle of nowhere, right, in the middle of the woods, pitch dark out. Had I not turned around, would that thing have crept up on us and maybe landed? And who knows? Who knows what would happen? Maybe we would have been abducted. I don't know. Maybe that's what would. Maybe because I turned around and saw it, they decided not to do it or something. That's always a possibility. But had I not turned around, that thing, I might not have known it was there until it was right above me, because there was no sound whatsoever. I turned around, I see these 3 giant lights lined up horizontally, like big gigantic headlights. They look like, except they're a lot larger than headlights. And they're moving behind these trees, and they come into a clearing. That when the thing gets into a clearing, that's when it started moving toward us. My friend Scott was underneath the edge of it. He's shining a flashlight on the bottom of it, and I'm standing right in front of it. It's only 2.5 stories off the ground, within 20 feet, and it's right there. These 3 big lights shining in my direction. And then it just started moving away from us. And then we got out of there. We were scared out of our minds. We got out of there, and it was just an incredible thing to see. But had I not turned around, I don't know what would have happened. I wouldn't have known that thing was coming. I would not have known that thing was approaching us because you couldn't hear it. So they have the ability of stealth, and on top of it, they have the ability of invisibility. As we know, there are just so many different cases where people. The one case I talked about from 1990 that happened in the United Kingdom, where there was an elderly gentleman who was out walking with his dog, and he looked over into this field and he saw this craft just materialize right in front of his eyes. So these beings have the ability to make themselves invisible or camouflage themselves. Bruce Maccabee's wife filmed what she thought was what apparently was some sort of an alien creature using cloaking technology back in 2010. While she was out bow hunting, she saw something, and when they looked at she took a cell phone picture of it, but the cell phone picture didn't capture anything. It was she couldn't even, what she saw looked like a saran wrap moving from one tree to another. It was like some sort of an intelligent creature stretching across from one tree to another and moving through a forest. It's been reported. There's been reports like this throughout history, throughout the decades now, of invisibility and the stealth that these craft have. I just want to read a little segment here out of David Jacobs' book, Walking Among Us, with regard to advanced alien technology. He writes, in order to get to Earth from wherever they originate, the aliens must have extremely advanced technology. That technology shows itself in ways other than just travel. They lift people and aliens into their craft using what appears to be a shaft of light. They move humans, aliens, and objects through solid barriers like windows and walls. They can render themselves and their craft invisible to humans. Sometimes radar registers them or people see them, and UFO investigators have recorded thousands of these cases. But given the aliens' enormous numbers, ubiquity, and the length of time they have been here, radar sightings are relatively uncommon. Yeah, sometimes they make mistakes, obviously, these aliens. Sometimes they crash their craft. Obviously, no technology is perfect, but for the most part, they have great advantages over us, and stealth, and also the technologically superior conveyances that they are able to move around in. And basically, what they do serve as, for the most part, they serve as medical laboratories for abduction events. That's what they're using them for a lot, it seems, right? They're not. It's not just for them to travel. I mean, why are they here? Why are they traveling around? Why are they so secretive, right? Well, why are people getting abducted and having their memories wiped, and they can't? They have to go to have a hypnotic regression to recover memories. Why is this happening? What's going on? And we know that they're here, right? We have the evidence that shows that they're here. So maybe that's what is happening, and maybe they are taking over. Maybe there is a hybrids among us right now, and there's some plan in the future that's going to be put into play at some point that we don't know about yet. Maybe it's time the scientific community starts studying this before it's too late, or maybe it's already too late, or maybe we don't have a chance anyway because the advantages these beings have over us is just we can't compete. We just cannot. And then the third one I have here is mind control powers, telepathy, the ability to control us. They really have abilities to control the human race. The ability that they could make people believe. They could put screen memories in people's minds and make them think that they're seeing something that's not there. They could control people. They can make a lot of people get abducted. They move against their will somehow. The aliens are controlling them, whether it's through their mind powers that they have or there's some sort of technology involved. Nobody really knows. We can't say, but they have these abilities to control us, and they do. When you read enough of the alien abduction literature, you see the abilities that they have. I mean, it's not just people who get abducted. The abductees are controlled in other ways too. They're actually, some of them, according to Jacobs, are forced by these aliens to instruct these hybrids that are living among us, that the aliens have sprinkled across the globe here and continue to sprinkle across the globe, that they are creating themselves using our DNA, taking sperm from men and eggs from women and combining it with alien DNA and creating this race of human-looking aliens that they sprinkle here among us. They actually force the abductees to, teach them how to integrate themselves into our society, how to act like natural human beings, like they're supposed to be here. So they have all these kinds of abilities. They could read your mind. They know what you're thinking. Apparently, according to a lot of different people who have come in close contact with these creatures. And they can control us. They can control us, and that's a scary thing. So the advantages so far: technologically superior, technologically superior conveyances, as well as other gadgetry, as well as they have incredible stealth and invisibility capabilities, cloaking technology. Obviously, we saw that on display in the Vegas case. They have mind control powers, telepathy, the ability to control. And how do as human beings, what do we do? What can we do to prevent to try to get ourselves on an even keel with these things? I don't know what that answer, if there is an answer. And also, of course, they're number 4. They have a mastery over genetics at this point. Obviously, if they're able to create a hybrid race, hybrid alien creatures that look like humans and have them living among us, and have them here for some purpose that's going to unveil itself at some point in the future, that means they've mastered genetics, and we could see how that's possible. We have successful cloning experiments ourselves here. The human race is, if we're around for another 10,000, 100,000 years, I'm sure we'll be able to create duplicates of ourselves if we really wanted to. And obviously, these aliens could do all of that. Number 5, they have a mastery over medicine, because apparently these beings, I mean, they're so advanced that they have figured it all out. I mean, I don't think that they would have to be concerned about any sort of illness or germ or bacteria, because they have the medicine. They would have the know-how to figure out how to prevent any sort of illness like that. And they have have tested this on human beings sometimes. There have been some humans who have come in contact with UFOs or the creatures themselves. Somebody who's sick with cancer, and then the cancer's gone, or somebody has some sort of an injury and then they suffered with their whole lives, and all of a sudden they're healed. So they have abilities to heal us and to prevent disease, obviously. And that makes sense. I mean, if you're a civilization that's 10,000, 100,000, a million years more advanced than we are, well, obviously they will have these things figured out. I would imagine that the human race itself will have figured some of these things out if we're around long enough. And then finally, number 6, I have knowledge. They really have it over us with this. I mean, because they know us more. I've been talking about this a lot. They know more about us than we know about us. We're predictable to them. They know what we're gonna do. They know how we're gonna act. We're gonna react. Like they know if they fly one of their flying saucers over one of our military installations, they know that we're gonna send up some jets to check it out, and then they're just leaving. There's nothing we can do about it. There is nothing we have that could compete with what they have, because for one thing, they know everything about us. Right? They have craft that could run circles around anything that we have. Anything. I mean, planes, trains, automobiles, space shuttles, rockets to the moon. It doesn't matter. They have bested us in that arena at this point in time. I mean, obviously, how else are they here? How else are they able to be among us here, living in some kind of stealth where they keep their presence secret for the most part? And despite all the evidence that is compiled over the years, we still have a great number of human beings who will not accept it. Obviously, the aliens are winning. Their plans are working still, because we still have a lot of people among us who won't accept it, as we all know. I've talked about that in the previous podcast. There's just some people here who just can't accept it, and so that's what the aliens want. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that they're here and they are up to something. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there who will say that they're here to help us and all that kind of stuff, but like I have to side with David Jacobs here. I don't know if there's evidence that shows that. I mean, really? I mean, yeah, you hear stories about people like aliens letting them fly their flying saucers and having a good old time and all this kind of stuff. I still don't think that they're here to help. I'm not sure. I don't know. Why are they here? For what purpose? I mean, what's the reason that they're here? I mean, he thinks it's because they're here for planetary acquisition, and that they're doing it in this slow motion version where they're absorbing the human race over time. Like, if they keep doing this hybridization program, at some point in the future, every human being that's here on the planet, every living human being will actually be a hybrid. For all we know, people out there's hybrids that that you talk to. Maybe there's some people out there that don't even know. Maybe this is evolution that's going on. Maybe this is how we evolved. I don't know. But these beings are most certainly here, and we have evidence that shows it. I mean, you think about the Turkey UFO videos from 2007, 2008, and 2009, filmed by a Turkish fisherman named Yalçın Yalman. He was seeing an object floating out over the Sea of Marmara in Turkey over a period of time. So he decided to start filming it, and he got a really good camera for that time. And he filmed objects hovering out over the Sea of Marmara, and on a number of occasions, it looks like they look like saucers, for one thing, and it looked like there were alien beings in them. I mean, if you look at the videos, the numerous videos, hours and hours and hours worth of videos, different videos filmed on different occasions over the course of 2007, 2008, 2009, shows alien beings sitting inside these machines that are just hovering out over the ocean. And in one of the images, one of the videos, it shows what apparently looks like two gray aliens hovering over a person, potentially a human being, lying down in a prone position, and also standing there looks like one of those praying mantis type creatures, just like the alien abductees have been telling us for all these years. So you look at all those pictures, you look at all the imagery that comes out of the Turkey UFO videos, and you know that they're here, and they match the descriptions that have been provided by people who have been abducted by aliens over the course of many decades. That's what they look like. Now, I remember it was about a year ago where that one show that's on the History Channel called The Proof Is Out There did an episode where they talked about this, and they came to the conclusion at the end that the Turkey UFOs, yes, they're UFOs, but they're not. They don't think they're alien beings in there. In fact, one of their experts, an astronomer and video analysis guy, looked at it and said it would be. He doesn't see how the cameramen could have captured the beings in the craft because it was so far away. He compared it to trying to film people in a jet passenger aircraft going by through one of those little windows, which is a ridiculous comparison. I mean, look, for one thing, the craft that was being filmed by Yalcin Yalman was hovering in place. It wasn't moving like a jet airliner. And for another thing, you could see it was opened up on the top, unlike a jet airliner. And finally, the images that you see, you could clearly see that there's something there. There's creatures there, and some of the images show clearly that they look like aliens. It's like people out there telling us that, oh no, that's not what you're seeing. That it can't be. What are you talking about? It looks like an alien to me. I mean, I'm showing images on the screen right now. These are aliens. We're looking at alien creatures. That's what it is. I mean, there were video experts in 4 different countries that determined that those videos were not hoaxed, or there was no puppets or special effects used. That was already determined a long time ago, right? Experts from 4 different countries made that determination. Experts, by the way, who, when they initially saw the videos, they said this had to be a hoax. But when they concluded their analysis, they realized it's not a hoax. They had no explanation for it. That was how they left it. No explanation for it. Well, here's an explanation for it. There were alien beings in a flying saucer. That's what the explanation is. It's very clear. But for some reason, we humans, we're all stupid for some reason. And even though you could clearly see that these things are aliens and they're not people, and it's not some optical illusion, you can see clearly these meet the same kinds of descriptions as provided by people who have said that they have been abducted by these creatures over the years. And then you look at some of the imagery from the Vegas alien case. Same kind of thing. You see alien creatures. Now we talk about that all the time on this channel anymore because nobody else is talking about. So I got to bring it up because it's the best evidence we ever had for this that shows aliens. You had the 8 to 10 foot tall creatures, and then there's the creature that I was talking about in the previous show, that little one, that little head that pops up in the background later in the video. And that, to me, I don't know if it's one of the same being, if it's the same kind of being that was standing by the fence, or if it's the same being one of the beings the being that chased them out of the yard. I don't know. It looks like it could be smaller because that's not close to 8 to 10 foot tall. I mean, that head, that thing would have to be, if that thing is 8 to 10 foot tall, it must be laying on the ground and just poking its head up. But maybe it's not 8 to 10 foot tall. Maybe that's just one of these smaller alien creatures, like a gray alien. In fact, to me, it looks a lot like a alien that was captured in a picture from the 1930s. Here's a picture I'm showing on the screen right now. I talked about this case before. This picture was sent to a UFO investigator in 2010, I believe. Yes. Or excuse me, 2003 rather, excuse me. And this is what the person who sent this said. His grandfather had taken this picture in Alaska in the early 1930s. His grandfather, before his grandfather died, his grandfather gave him this picture and said he didn't know what it was. Looks like he said he thought it was either an alien or a Bigfoot. To me, it looks like a little alien running into the woods. It says here, the picture was taken in the early 1930s by the sender's grandfather, who lived in Alaska. The entity was first seen when the grandfather was on his way to a lake. He chased the entity until he got close enough to take this one picture. It was some 4 months before the photograph was developed, being in a remote, sparsely populated area. The sender received the picture from his grandfather only last week. His grandfather died the day after giving him the photo and relating his story. And then this person contacted UFO Casebook and sent this picture into them and said he doesn't want anything to do with it. He just thought that somebody in the UFO community should have this picture. So if you look at that picture and then you compare it to that little head that you see popping up in the Vegas alien video, it looks like one and the same. Now, we don't know if the Alaska picture was real or hoaxed, but I don't know. I just don't know. But it does look very similar, I must say, to the being that you see in Vegas many, many decades later. But I guess what this shows, if this Alaska picture is true, and they say a lot of UFO investigators say that a lot of the abductions seem to start before 1947. Actually, in the 1920s there was some, 30s and 30s there was a few. Maybe the aliens were just starting up work, opening up shop then. These gray aliens and the and their overlords, insectoid overlords, maybe they were just starting up shop there, setting up shop at the time, and they just maybe that's when it started, sometime then. Who knows? Because here, if this Alaska picture is legitimate, then that shows an apparent gray alien running toward the woods. That's what it looks like. But we don't know if that's real or not. I can't say with 100% certainty. We don't even know the name of the person who sent the picture to the UFO investigator. But it does look a lot like the thing that you do see in the Vegas video. But I guess the point of all of this is the fact that we know that they're here. That we know we have evidence now that they're here. And you would think that the scientific community right now would be on high alert. And want to get to the bottom of all of these questions, because there's a lot of questions here. And if this alien abduction scenario is true as described by researchers like David Jacobs, we really need to get more people on this, because it could be a scary future if we don't. Now, he could be wrong. I always said, my feeling has always been that we need to have more people investigating alien abductions, more experts, scientifically minded experts. That's what we need, investigating that. But we just don't have it. We still don't have it, and time's ticking. That book that I was reading from before, Walking Among Us, this book's almost 10 years old. So this research is from a long time ago, and another decade basically has passed since this book. And that aliens could be getting stronger all the time, and they're still here. They're still among us, as we know for a fact. They're still here, and they're still up to something, based on all of the sightings that still continue, the encounters with aliens that still continue. They're still here. They're still up to something. They're still operating in stealth, and I think we need to take this seriously. And we need to block out these voices, these crazy, there's all these crazy people out there that don't want to consider this and don't want to talk about it. They want to pretend it's not real for some reason. I don't know, whose side are they on? The human races or the aliens? I mean, we have the evidence now. What are they waiting for? What are they doing? They're hindering us. We need to get the scientific community on board. That's the bottom line. I think it's very important, considering the fact that it is real. There is something here now. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how many times we got to talk about, how many times we got to say this. There's proof now. There's no more debating this anymore. There's something going on here, and we're all, for some reason, we're still acting. You know what this reminds me of? It's like Game of Thrones. You know, in Game of Thrones, there was all these political machinations going on, of people vying for the throne, right? When meanwhile there was this zombie army amassing, and this giant threats hovering over everything, and they're worried about other things when they should have been worried about this other threat that's right there in front of them. And I think that's what this feels like to me. Like everyone's has all these other concerns going on right now, and you got to be able to walk and chew gum here at the same time. You got to be worried about all of it. You know, you got to keep it all. You got to be able to have a balance here, but you can't keep your eye off this ball. I mean, how do you know that? What's more important? I mean, the potential end of the human race, potentially, based on some of the research that's been done. Now that we have evidence that shows there's something here, and now we see that the government doesn't want to talk about it. We've sent them the proof. They can't say anything. Basically, it's an admission. They're admitting to us that they can't do anything about it. That's what that does. By you alert the Pentagon. You provide proof. You say, look, here it is. There actually are aliens here, despite what you've been telling us for years. See, now we have the evidence, and you don't respond. Well, that looks really bad. That looks terrible. That means you have no handle on this whatsoever. That's what it looks like. That's why, and I'm not saying they need to say anything. Keep quiet, keep it up. Whatever you're doing in secret, that's fine, right? But the scientific community needs to be aware of this. They need to be aware that apparently even the government has no answer for this. The government that's been studying this secretly, obviously they had been studying this secretly. Everybody better hope that they've been studying this secretly, right? They have no answer to this. They don't understand it all yet. That's why the scientific community needs to just don't worry about what the government's not telling us, right? Don't worry about what they're saying, right? Just let them go off and do what they have to do secretly, right? And meanwhile, the rest of us have to start taking this seriously. Just because government officials don't want to admit to it doesn't mean that the rest of us can't, start taking this a little bit more seriously. We have to. We really have to. I mean, for all we know, maybe it is they're here. It's just reconnaissance, or it's just looking at us, studying us. Maybe that's all it is. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's something that's bad. Maybe they're trying to take us over, like some people are telling us. People who actually researched it, did real research, talked with real people who actually were really abducted, right? And we have to now accept that those abductions were real because we see that there actually are aliens, just described just like people have been telling us for all these years. So we see them now. We know that they're here. So that's why the scientific community needs to embrace this. They need to be open about it, and we need to these people who are skeptics, let them go in their little corner and cry and pout and whatever they have to do, right? They could go live in their fantasy world, but other people need to take this more seriously, because who knows what the end game is going to be if we do nothing. I mean, if we just allow ourselves to be absorbed like this, if that's what the case is, which I hope is not, but we still got to take it seriously now, because now, you see, there's no excuse. Even if the government's not telling you anything, that means it must be serious. It must be dire in some way, and they're trying to figure things out themselves behind the scenes. But that doesn't mean the rest of us can't try to figure out other things by ourselves without their help. That's how I feel about it. But anyway, moving on, I want to talk about the recent Spotify polls that I've run. For the episode, UK Ministry of Defense fibs about UFOs / some scientists still pretending ET NHI proof non-existent, I asked this question. I said, are SETI Institute scientists being deliberately dumb about the ET NHI presence, or are they really dumb about it? There's been 36 votes so far. 11 people, or 30.6%, say they're really dumb, while 25 people, or 69.4%, say they're being deliberately dumb. I don't know. They could be, like Stanton Friedman used to say, SETI's in a cult. SETI is a cult. I mean, because they'll tell you that they believe that there's a life on other worlds, but at the same time, they don't believe in the evidence that we have right here that shows there's life from other worlds. Possibly this is what this is. It's something. It's life that's not us, and it's doing something, and it's here, and it's intelligent. They don't want to talk about that, but they're guaranteeing us that there's life out there in other worlds. Yeah, and they also believe that they're going to capture a radio signal from another planet somewhere. They really believe that. They might be really. I might have to go with the minority on this. I think they're just really dumb. I don't think they're being deliberately dumb. I think they're really dumb. Yeah, so I'm going to go with the minority on that one. And then for the episode, huge saucers spotted over Colorado amphitheater. UFO debunkers expose own idiocy in new paper. I asked this question. Are the authors of the paper discussed in this episode naive or deliberately being deceptive? 9 people, or 27.3%, say they are naive, while 24 people, or 72.7%, say they are being deliberately deceptive. Again, I think I might have to go with the minority on this. I think that these people are in a cult. I think they are just naive. I think I don't think they're being deliberately deceptive. I think they really don't want to believe in this, and that's what this is all about for them. I don't think those 2 guys that wrote that paper are government agents or anything like that. I just think that they're very scared skeptics, and they don't like this whole notion of an alien presence here. They hate it. So I'm going to go with the minority again, naive. But I could be wrong. It doesn't make me right. They just could be being deliberately deceptive, because they are wrong. There's no question about that. So I guess it's always a possibility. And then for the episode, a debunker responds, plus the 1965 Exeter, New Hampshire UFO encounter revisited. I asked this question. What did the witnesses to the 1965 Exeter, New Hampshire UFO incident see? 21 votes so far. One person, or 4.8%, say other. One person, or 4.8%, says Chinese spy balloon. Of course, that person's joking. One person, or 4.8%, says magnified planet. Nobody, 0 people, said high altitude aircraft. Yeah, that's impossible. One person, or 4.8%, says plasma ball lightning. 4 people, or 19%, say optical illusion, while the majority, 13 people, or 61.9%, say ET NHI craft. I agree with the majority. That was definitely no question in my mind about it. Too many witnesses at too many different locations, including 2 police officers, saw that object, and it was unlike anything that the human race could create, and it was a solid nuts and bolts kind of object. Could not have been some sort of an optical illusion, as the police officers stated clearly. This was a real deal, and I think it was ET or non-human intelligence, whatever, but it wasn't human. It was what we're talking about here, what we're all worried about, what we all should be worried about, because we don't know. They have everything in every aspect. They have an advantage over us. The knowledge advantage is just overall, because the knowledge that they have about us compared to the knowledge that we have about them. Think about that. We don't know anything about them. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know exactly what they want. We don't know where they're hiding at. We don't know anything. We don't know anything about them. Nothing. Think about it. We don't know anything about them. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know what they really... I mean, unless... The only thing we know is based on some research by people who investigate it, but we're not sure if they're right or not. In fact, I think some of them aren't sure if they're right or not. David Jacobs he came to certain conclusions about why these beings are here. Are there other beings coming here in addition to them? I think yes. I think it's more than just these grays and reptilians and insectoids. I think it's more than just that, but these ones we're talking about here, right? The ones that were in that backyard in Vegas, right? Those kind of beings, the one that was potentially running around the woods in Alaska back in the 1930s, right? The ones that you see in the spacecraft floating over the Sea of Marmara, what are they doing? They're up to something. They're doing something. Right? And you have people who say they get abducted, and they have experiments, and they have procedures done to them. They have procedures done to them. You have people telling you this, right? Tens of thousands of people over the years. David Jacobs alone interviewed over a few thousand people he talked to, right? And he reached certain conclusions when he was done. So he's one of the only people that investigated this. This is why this is so important. We don't know why they're here. We don't know what they're doing. They just have this, they have it over us. They just do in every sense. But just think, I mean, they know what we're going to do. They know how we're going to react. They just know so much more about us. They know probably more than we know. Obviously, they have to, right? And we know nothing about them. The advantage that they have over us, the advantages is incredible. It's scary to think about. And it's scary. What's even scarier is that for the most part, we're not doing anything about it. Our government tells us it's not real, right? They never recovered any craft. We better hope. People out there better start hoping they've been recovering craft, and you better start hoping that they're lying, because we have evidence now that shows that they're really here, right? So people better be hoping. In fact, the government should be wanting to talk about this now, instead of just letting this linger like this pretend, with this land of make believe that they keep pushing. These people that are against this coming out all the time, right? These strong voices against it. Oh, it can't be real. It's all phony. It's all fake, right? They're leading us down a garden path that leads to our destruction when you really think about it. I mean, if we're going to be ignoramuses like that, I mean, those people are ignoramuses. Let's face it. Ignorant people. They just... If you were to listen to them, that's like listening to when the Poseidon adventure, when the ship turns upside down. The smart people knew the ship's upside down. Any kind of rescue is going to come through the bottom of the ship that's up above the water. So they start going up there. Like 10 people start crawling up to the bottom of the ship, while the rest of them say, "Oh, we're staying here until a rescue team comes for us. We were going to stay in the bottom of the ship, actually the top of the ship, which is under the water, and they're going to die, but they stay there." That's what this is like here with this situation. By not taking it seriously. We need to sound an alarm bell here a little bit, don't we? I mean, how come there's not more people out there sounding alarm bells? Like, oh yeah, see, it is real. There is something here. How come there's not people doing that? You would think that would be happening right now, but it's not. No, not to... There's no reason for panic or anything like that. We just need the scientific community to start taking this more seriously and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And if there is anything we can do about it, despite the advantages that they have over us. We just can't sit back and hope that the government is studying this behind the scenes, because they're not telling us. They're not telling us anything about it. They don't say a word about it. There's no word of comfort that comes out saying, yes, it is real, but don't worry about it. They're not here to hurt us. We have it under control. Blah, blah, blah. There's never anything like that. You know why? Because they don't. Obviously, they don't have it under control. How could they? How could they have it under control? We just don't have the assurances from governments of the world to tell us, hey, yeah, we got this under control. Instead, what we get, oh no, there's nothing to it. We never encountered aliens. We never saw anything. We never had a crash retrieval. We're not doing any reverse engineering. They tell us all these things, and then tell us that people who see these things are having a hallucination, or they saw a balloon or something else. It's more complicated than that. I mean, we're being gaslighted by them, and that's because they have no control over it. That's the bottom line. That's what it seems like to me. And because if they had control over this situation, right, they would have told us a long time ago. Obviously, they do not. And when you consider all of the advantages that these aliens have over us, you understand. You understand why they're afraid to bring this up. Why our own governments of the world continue to gaslight the population with regard to this. It's just absurd at this point. Despite the fact that we see it with our own eyes, we're all supposed to pretend. A lot of us, like basically, I think what some people want us to do, they want us to pretend it's not real. They want us to go along with them and just pretend it's not real. That's what I think some of the messaging here is for some. When you think about some of the comments I received from that debunker recently. Yeah, they just they don't know. There's nothing. I don't think there's any kind of answer that they have. I mean, that's how I feel at this point. Seeing this stuff in operation, seeing how they operate, seeing how when you consider all of the abilities that these beings have, I mean, they just we're just outclassed by big numbers. I mean, in a big ways. I mean, it's just that's where we're at, and that's why we just have to. I think what we need to do, we need to just say, look, government's not going to tell us what they know. They're just not. They're going to lie about it. They don't want to talk about it at all. They'd rather not even go there. They feel in their heart for some reason they got to keep this a secret, so they're not going to provide us the information. I don't see how we're ever going to get it. And I don't think it has anything to do with which administration's there either. That matters not. This is being controlled not by elected officials, not by people in power. This is the people who are in power that we don't know of who are in power. The people who are in control of the military-industrial complex, right? That's who's controlling this stuff all over the world. That's who, and they have nothing to tell us. They have nothing to say about it. They're trying to reverse engineer this stuff. They're trying to figure out how these craft work, and they want to use it for military purposes. That's the big deal. And meanwhile, they have no understanding of what's going on with these beings. Obviously, they have no way of containing it or controlling it or reining them in. There's nothing they could do about it, and that is why this cover-up continues. And that is why, just despite that, the scientific community, now that there is enough proof out there to show you that there's something going on, that this isn't some pipe dream, right? Now that there's the proof out there, it's time that the scientific community gets serious about this and tries to understand what's going on. Are the assertions made by researchers in the past, like David Jacobs, with regard to the reasons for this presence, is that true? That needs to be researched. That really needs to be studied by people seriously. People who know what they're doing need to look at that, because if that's really happening, we need to figure out if there's something we can do about it, or if there's nothing we can do about it, or we just sit back and just let it happen. What we need to have but the human race deserves some answers about what's happening here. We should know this. We shouldn't be left in the dark with this stuff. That's crazy. Anyway, I want to say thank you all for joining me. Until next time.